auditors, and there were 5 amendments that need to be made that they suggested that we correct. One of those being public works expenses, and this would allow us to correct public works' overages for the $55,500, and it would reduce the Board of Commissioners budget. If you turn to page 2 that's in your agenda packet, it gives you the exact breakdown. So of the $55,340, we would reduce planning and zoning, financial budget, and tax assessor's budget to correct the overage within the public works budget. And this was primarily due to fuel and gravel.
We're talking about the gravel that's laying down on the side of the road, I guess.
And this was for fiscal year 2012.
Mr. Chairman, as I sent an email to y'all before this, we have kind of established a policy here that we don't do this, we haven't been doing it because we want the audit to reflect who has overspent and who has not overspent, so that when we go back and look year after year, we can see who overspends and who doesn't overspend. And I don't agree with this to do any of this. If Public Works overspent $55,000, then why should the Board of Commissioners absorb part of that to show that, you know, they spent their budget when they didn't?
Right.
Same thing with planning and zoning. Since planning and zoning didn't spend all their budget, why should they go and make it look like Public Works did their job when they didn't? So I don't agree with this, and I'm gonna make a motion that we let the audit reflect that those departments that overspent, show that they overspent, and those that underspent show that they underspent.
I would encourage you to look at the second and third resolution if the board chooses to do that. The second resolution that's part of this packet is the money that we received from Family Connections. This is a pass-through grant, and that quarterly reimbursement wasn't sent until after we had closed our books. So this budget amendment is one that needs to be reflected within that budget line item.
My motion is only for the first budget amendment that we were discussing, with Public Works being over and changing other departments to move money around.
Mr. Chairman, I kind of agree with Commissioner Patrick, because the fact is, just like Public Works being overspent, is that meaning that they're putting more material out, and we need to try to get a line item where did they actually overspend. So commissioners can look at that as a tool to be able to say what we need to operate it. We're going to continue, if it's gravel or if it's fuel, if it's tires or what.
It was a combination of both fuel and gravel.
Well, I think it would only serve its purpose by showing where it was overspent in order to be able to accurate budget.
And I could, if the board wants to do that, I can bring it back with a line item just for that department, and you can see where it's overspent, and get that roll up from the auditors.
Well, I think we want to-
Or if we want to just show them over, we can show them over.
I think that's
That's what we want.
Okay.
Mark, excuse me, but do you recall what the consequences of not having a balanced budget?
All it does is say that the auditors told us before that there's just gonna be a line that says we didn't do that.
Well, it's in our
not.
audit, but we also get a finding from the state
Yeah, there's
on
some
how.
period of time, if we have consecutive findings, that we have some kind of, I'll forget what it is. Is that not gonna be?
They're not gonna do anything about it. I mean, we don't have to make it look like somebody did a good job when they didn't. We've discussed this before.
But is it a finding of the total balanced budget, or is it just by department?
This is by department. We have to report, there's that sheet within the audit that reports any departments that are over. This does not include correcting our courts. The only department that was over was Public Works. And then these 2 transfers that we had to do to victim assistance in the law library fund. And then other than recognizing the revenue, which we do for all of our grants, for Family Connections.
Mr. Chairman, I'll second with an amendment that the county manager, CFO, show or present to the board line items where the Public Works overspent.
Well, while I'm talking about the victim assistance, I got in my mail tray today, the refund back from the, Butch Moore, Omega Circuit Public Defender Office, some money to go back into the budget.
That actually goes against other courts. It's a different department than the victim assistance.
Okay, but we still, while I'm talking about it, get it off my hand.
Okay, well, we've got a motion on the floor, let's go ahead and handle this. I have a motion by Commissioner Patrick, it is seconded by Commissioner Penniman. Any further discussion?
And the motion is that we're not going to fix
Correct.
Public works.
And this is
any,
public works, so.
we're not going to change any of these people.
Not to adjust any of the budget,
Right,
and that the
departments.
with the amendment that the CFO county manager give us a line item on public works where they overspend.
We're gonna do the transfer?
No.
No, okay.
We're not gonna
I
do
think
the
talking
transfer
about
on
the
the
second two.
The second two motions are not there yet. The second amendments are, this is just the
Okay, this-
budget amendment
that's
number
what I
or
thought.
whatever.
1 and 2.
Okay,
Number one.
those in favor? Unanimous?